Durin the Elder has the ring, and he's like
Lifting
speed running
sanctions.
corruption.
Yes, totally.
Like literally, like time it, and he's gonna get the Minecraft record over here. He's already at the Ender Dragon. Welcome back, everybody! Episode 5 is here. Halls of Stone, and we're recording this at 4:20. Woo! I don't know. I'm a little loopy. I'm very tired today.
It's definitely not 4:20 where you are.
It's 11:25. It's 4:20 somewhere.
Oh, okay,
man.
got it. Word. Okay, for sure. I got very confused because I'm like, wait, is he ahead of me? Is he behind me? Just as we were about to start this recording, I was looking up the title of the episode and saw yet another Forbes article calling this episode, wait for it, a slog.
Okay, so I've got my opinions about this episode, and honestly, I like my own opinions about this episode is like, what do I want from Rings of Power? Because
Ooh.
I've called this show slow before, especially in season 1. I'm like, what are they doing with the pacing, the writing? You know, we're doing our Game of Thrones on Patreon podcast, and like just the dialogue is just like it's crackling, so I can listen to a conversation. Like I don't need Battle of the Bastards every episode, but like the dialogue is so propellant, and like oh they're scheming.
Propellant.
I know, right?
Ooh.
I'm coming with the hot stuff today, baby.
Let's go.
But even in this episode, I was like, it feels like they're moving a little too fast with some of this stuff, and it's almost like I wish I would have gotten in season 1 to know and love these things a little bit more.
Like what? Or do you want to go to?
Like, but we're dealing with the falls of 2 of the greatest kingdoms of their respective races. This is the fall of Khazad-dûm and the fall of Numenor. This is the pinnacle of dwarfdom with like their most precious metal of Mithril.
Wow.
And Numenor, the height of men, basically like Captain America if he just started multiplying and everybody was Captain America. And both of these kingdoms are coming to ruin in front of our eyes. And they're doing a good job of making me not like the person that's doing it, but I don't care about the kingdom. Especially by the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, so there's literally one person, maybe 2. Basically, there's like the 2 couples in each kingdom, Durin and Disa in Dwarf, and Elendil and the Queen. I can't think of her name right now.
Muriel.
Those are the only 2 people I care about in an entire kingdom.
You're so right. And actually, add a third. We're going to see the fall of Eregion.
That's true. And so it's like, I
can understand why they're doing it, though. It's the corruption of Sauron.
Oh, no, I understand the plot. I have no problem with the kingdoms falling at all.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's just how insipid that it's spreading out and bringing them down right away is my point.
But like, I don't care about these kingdoms. Like, they were never shown, like, you know, they keep telling me, oh, this is, like, I've read about Numenor. I've read about Khazad-dûm. I've heard about it from Gimli. I've heard about it for so long, and so it was supposed to be this thing of, like, we're finally getting to see these kingdoms. We're finally getting to see Eregion, the jewel of the Elven kingdom, where the Smiths brought everything out. And it's just like, okay. Like, we never saw the prospering of these things. I don't know. Like, I've said it mostly about Numenor, where it never felt like Aragorn would have fit in here. Aragorn still would have been the best of the best here, even though he had like a sliver of a tiny drop of Isildur's blood, like, you know, passed down through thousands of generations. Like, but I never got that. And so I like where the plot is going, because, oh my God, the motherfuckers in Numenor, like that sun.
I can't. We'll talk about it. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Because I had to stop myself last week from tweeting the most punchable face. Because I didn't want it to be another Kristen Cole thing where it's like, now we hate this actor. Like, I just didn't want to. But that dude has a punchable face. And then some shit happened this episode. So I gotta spend time there is my point. Okay. But here's what I think this is a symptom of. It's they're choosing to spend their money. I think we're just not. They're feeling like we got to get the story out now. I think there just was some failure in setting up. Let us spend a whole episode in Khazad-dûm and see it beautifully. And we kind of did with the Durin Elrond stuff. It's kind of fun.
We saw them battle, but it was like I never saw them like haul a chest of jewels out, and I don't know. I'm okay with the reinterpretation of some of the lore. I've said that. It's not fan fiction or anything like that. It's just a reimagining. But when you make Mithril this forbidden gemstone, when it's literally like even the most common Lord of the Rings fan knows, like, oh yeah, isn't Khazad-dûm or Moria where the Mithril is? Like, he literally says that in the book and in the movies of like, oh, it wasn't rubies and gemstones and gold and silver. It was Mithril. And so, like, even when we were talking about season 1, both of us were like, so when did they get the Mithril? When did they start making the chainmail Mithril and just, like, start producing it and stuff like that? Because the Balrog's already woken up. So what's this ticking clock we have here? Because I'm really curious of, like, where this is going to come from. And now that Durin the Elder has the ring, and he's, like, speed running corruption.
Yes,
like,
totally.
Like, literally, like, time it, and he's going to get the Minecraft record over here. He's already at the Ender Dragon.
He really is.
Like, he is. He's already there. He's already, like, made the ether and everything like that.
Whoa.
Like, but so it's like, where does this kingdom come into play? And that's where I'm okay with the pacing of the show. I really like season 2, but it's like I should care more than just about each respective couple of 2 of the biggest kingdoms in the history of the earth.
I mean, think about it, though. We haven't even met the other 6 dwarf lords. We're just focusing on, and we would complain if there was even more characters to get to know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we're supposed to understand, I think, and I mean, this is doing a little heavy lifting, but I think we're supposed to understand through the eyes of Disa and Durin that they are worthy of saving because there's got to be other ones like them. And, Elendil, I mean,
her choir buddy, is this because, like, they were the only one not smiling or something?
That's right, totally. And you know what? Even going to Numenor and all of those disgraced seamen... What are the names? The sea guard?
The sea guard.
Sea guard. They are seamen. Going, my captain? Are you kidding? Those are guys I'd go down on the island for. I'd go down with the island for. I can't.
I don't even need to say anything. You're just walking yourself into these things.
I'm saying that.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying that those are dudes that I would go down on.
Thank you. Okay. No, you are right. That is a really good counterpoint of, like, the "Oh Captain, my Captain." That is a really good moment. I think I'm just like I think
you just want more. You're a little hungry for more.
I am perfectly okay with saying, like, I never try to project of what I want onto a movie. Like, we talked about in this last Patreon thing where we talked about the Gollum movie, that movie Rebel Ridge on Netflix, and the previews made it look like this crazy, nonstop Rambo-esque shoot 'em up type movie, and it's not. There's like probably 2, maybe 3 really good action scenes, but there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of scheming, there's a lot of planning and stuff like that, and it's still a really good movie. But I could see how someone would watch the trailer and then get on Netflix and be like, let's go, I'm ready for, John Wick takes on the South, and
sure.
And they don't get that. So it's like, I try not to project that stuff, but just like, being such a fan and seeing, like, everything about Numenor, I have read the Silmarillion as much as I don't remember, and just like this great kingdom of men, and you just don't get it. You get a bunch of blue collar racists screaming, "Elves aren't gonna take our jobs!" Like,
Who's screaming Farazan over and over in the middle of the night at Numenor?
Nerd of the Rings, I watched his recap and he was like, I'm just imagining those same people from the coronation are still up there.
I love that.
I was like, you know what? That's my headcanon as well. They're just still up there. Farazan. Like, oh my God, go home.
Because I was like, what? They're the fucking pubs? Farazan. It's so dumb. But it's great. It's so dumb, but it's great. So let's get into episode by episode. I do want to say before we get, or not episode by episode, but break it down a little bit more, to some, just to kind of agree with you that like something's missing. They're also ending the episodes really weird. Like the pacing they really like fumble it towards the end. Like, and again, I'm not going to reorder it for them, but it's just like, by a certain point towards the end, I'm like, just end the episode now, please. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Which is like, so weird.
Like them ending with like we're going to, jumping ahead. Like we're ending with the 9 rings. Oh, and Galadriel's here too. Oh, okay.
And then there's a Region, and like, it's just so weird. Like, I was expecting them to end on the Numenor moment, that I was expecting them to end on sweet Celebrimbor, and they just, like, kind of keep on going, oh, wait, hold on, there's one more piece of the story. They could just fold that in a little bit better. Yeah. Just a little bit. So, it might even be hard for that purpose to, like, kind of keep threads of what happened in this episode and when. But basically, this is a Celebrimbor and Natar and dwarves episode. Well, actually, and Numenor.
Yeah, so like let's do Numenor because there's no like.
No, I think we have to save Numenor to the last.
You think so?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's do the dwarves first. Let's just do the dwarves first.
Okay, we'll do the dwarves first, and then, I do love the beginning of the dwarf episode where it goes from like the mountains and it like fades. Oh, that's so good. That's the good stuff right there. I'm just like, what was my note?
It was so good, Ben.
Going from the mountain to the Ring of Power is such an insane transition. I love it. Like
it's so cheeseball.
It's so cheesy.
But it's also 2001 New Line Lord of the Rings, and it works. It just worked. And
yeah, people always like. I feel like once every 6 months, people quote tweet the transition from Spider-Man where Green Goblin firebombs a bunker and then it transitions to like them throwing the graduation caps. I'm like, yeah, dude, we used to be a country. We used to not get on the fucking volume and green screen a table for Spider-Man to flip off of. We used to like have, excitement and moments and, exhilaration in movies and like a director that could actually fucking direct and not like Mickey Mouse looking over his shoulder and be like, oh, you gotta put there. You gotta do this over here. Oh, like, fucking A, dude.
Can you do a Mickey Mouse saying we used to be a country?
Oh, we used to be a country. Oh,
Mickey.
That was pretty good. But yeah, it's just like I love this shit, man. It was so good.
It was so good. And I'm telling you, that ring is hot. It's a good ring.
I love the difference. Like, it zooms in on like the 7 there. And of course he picks the biggest and boldest one. But I love how like thick and strong the rings are. They're very much dwarf rings. They're so different from the 3. I think like the art director is just fucking cooking all season long. The prop guy, absolutely. So this is great. And then it just basically leads him like Minecraft style to just like touch the rocks and be like, axe here, axe here, axe here. And he cuts the sun back into the walls. And I love the... Dad, this is a load-bearing wall. Are you gonna teach mining to me? Like, that was a good moment.
It was a good moment. I actually cannot quite believe that King Durin just let them watch him do, like, mine the wall. Like,
that's the thing is that I feel like, and we'll get into it as we talk about the dwarves more. They're kind of. I wish he wasn't so fiendish already. Like
this is the truncated time you're talking about.
This is definitely the truncated time because like they're supposed to pass these rings down. Like, I think Nerd of the Rings made this point where, like, they're supposed to pass these rings down to, like, you know, generations and generations of dwarves, like, so much so that we see it in The Hobbit. Like,
well, they will.
But why? If I saw my dad put on a ring and he turned into a crack addict, and touching walls and like, yeah, some things are going right. Like, you know, my dad's a financial planner, and so he'd just be like pointing at stocks, like, invest in here, invest in here. It's like that. Like, this is in the 1980s. You don't need to go do coke in the bathroom. Like, and I wouldn't take that ring and be like, you know what? My dad is, you know, like bloodshot eyes and dark circles and, you know, scratching, but we did make a lot of money, so I'm going to put this ring on. Like, no.
I do have a theory, though, that you party how your parents partied, because you watched how your parents partied, and so you're probably going to be attracted to the style of
my
party.
parents party harder than me, dude. They have like a cocktail like every night, like just like a glass of whiskey.
Are they okay?
Just like a glass of whiskey, like a gin and tonic or something. Like, they're not doing shots. Like,
I'm just saying, like, if
we're gonna watch Yellowstone. You know, I'll take a Mexican candy over there.
Every time they say y'all.
Yeah, exactly. They're not playing drinking games.
I have a feeling, because that's a very, very salient point. I have a feeling once they decorporealize and effectively beat Sauron in the 5th season somehow, however they decide to do it, they'll probably go, this house is clean. And they'll be able to wear it that way, probably.
That makes sense.
It's probably. I love the moment. So shout out to Arsenal Roy 2K, aka Jesse, who is keeper of one of our 3 elven rings over on our Patreon for just $10 a month. We could also shout you out too, and sometimes forget to do that. And he commented on our Discord, which is free for you to join, that if the Balrog already wasn't awoken by a leaf, Disa woke that fucking Balrog up.
I like Disa, but that whole, we'll get to her
She was trying to prove something, I think, to herself, that she could still talk to the mountain. I think that's what that moment was. And we're not far away from that moment. Basically, Durin befienden the king, and he is like touching stone. He's like, this. Yeah. And here's the question to your earlier point. Where's all this mithril, right? And something we asked earlier in the season too is like, but didn't Durin not want to help the elves? Didn't Durin not, Durin the king, didn't want to mine for the mithril, and now he's just 180ing. Granted, he's trying to save his people. I understand this, right? And now I do, but I like the explanation that this ring is making him hungry and taking all of his original stipulations away, right? Like, okay, you said we couldn't mine here. Oh, forget that. Mine there, right? Why isn't he having them mine for mithril, but having them mine for gold instead? So this would be a great opportunity for him to go,
that they are mining for mithril. In this episode, like when he says Narvi, like, why are these plans, like, who shut these shafts down to mine for mithril? And he's like, you did, sir. Well, throw them away.
I thought those were gold shafts.
I think they're mithril shafts.
I'm pretty sure they're gold, but if you're right, I'll allow you to be right.
I'm looking through. I think it's like 95% sure it's mithril.
Okay, great. I heard something totally wrong then. I love also that we got to see Narvi and Celebrimbor building the new West Gate, Khazad-dûm doors that we see in the movies. I thought that was really lovely.
I did too. I liked it. It looked good. I wish it had been happening at night and they could have shown the door in the moonlight. Because, it's illuminated by moonlight. It's a secret door. And it's like, if you put that on a wall, I'm going to spot that thing for a mile away.
Yeah.
And I've got real bad eyesight. So I wish it would have been like, I don't need to see like a blank door and be like, whoa, magic trick. But you know what? Maybe do that, because that would have been fun.
Because it is a blank door and it's supposed to be a magic trick. And we did just see him have a blank panel of stone and then show the moonstone letters in the light to our little cutie elf who now I understand is supposed to look like Galadriel.
Riz King over there.
That is toxic 101. Anyone who ships Galadriel, I feel really, really bad.
Yeah,
for them.
It's not great.
No.
But getting back to the dwarfs, basically, they get the sun back. Durin goes to and from Eregion. Like, I guess we can make that part of the Anatar story. No, because I want to do that. But just like Durin kind of speedrunning between Eregion and Khazad-dûm like twice in the episode. I was like,
I know.
What are you doing
wild.
here?
It's wild. I mean, which then we're supposed to remember that it's weeks in between the travel. Weeks of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that they're not in House of the Dragon. We had a lot of time jumps, but we were never like they did a good job of like giving that expository dialogue. Or luckily like a lot of babies were being born, and you're like, oh, it's his second name day, and this kid wasn't here in the last episode, so it's like, oh, it's been 2 years. Cool.
Yeah. That's a really good point. We're not getting really clear markers of time. For sure.
Yeah, it needs something like that, and I don't know how they could do it, but they need to do it, because in that time of like Durin going to and from Khazad-dûm, Elrond is still running back to Lindon.
Probably not, because again, we don't know when all this is taking place. Did they get sent to Lindon 2 weeks prior, and that's when Gimli, not Gimli, I just don't think they're operating on the same exact timeline. Everything's coming to a head. They gotta show it. I understand. I got it.
You can't show Elrond running part of the episode.
What a crazy scene that they cut to.
He was playground running right there. He saw the streetlights come on, and Mom said you can't be home after dark. He was running home. He
stole the show, and we only saw him we saw him towards the end a little bit.
Yeah,
but he fucking hoofed it, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, now awesome. I know why they weren't on horseback. Kids got wheels, dude.
He was like leagues ahead of the other ones.
Yeah, he's not messing around.
No, Mom called.
Right, but I don't like this scene at all.
Which?
Disa is very hesitant about the rings. I can't tell if it's like jealousy that like, oh, he's not using the stone singing. It's a training, it's a gift. They're basically like the Bene Gesserit of Khazad-dûm. And I don't like this ring. And then this fucking scene at the market. One, this is what I'm talking about with the ring, is that Durin the Elder is 100% taxing everybody. For every coin spent, a coin has to go to the crown. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
That's not like, oh, hey, he raised taxes. No. That's bonkers shit right there. That, like, I feel is a bit too much. Like, you don't need... We know the rings are bad. We saw Sauron, like, kind of, grip the Mithril before he dropped it because he didn't get to do it with the Elven rings. And you already are showing with, like, the Whispering by the Seven. Like, I know the rings are bad. You don't need to do the taxation without representation type stuff. For me, that's like a little too much speed running rings are evil type things. Especially
because as we're supposed to understand it, and again, the majority of my understanding comes from Galadriel's speech at the beginning of the trilogy. The dwarves are a little less susceptible to corruption.
Mm-hmm.
They might have felt some stuff, but they might have been able... I don't know. Durin should be able to go, like, something's off here. I'll use it, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, but him instead acting like Gollum not Gollum, but Bilbo next to Narvi, like, what did you do? And, like, getting pit... What the fuck? They're supposed to be more resistant to
And that's the thing, like, they're not... If you're gonna do that, you gotta show me that months have passed.
Yeah.
That you've been wearing the ring nonstop, because it seems like it's the same weekend. you woke up Friday with the ring, you got this, you brought the sunlight back to people, and by Monday, you're like with the charts, and you're like, oh, where's my ring? I lost my ring. It's like, okay, dude. And so it feels like that's happening a little too fast. And again, like, why are we gonna pass this ring down generations? Like, is Durin the Younger gonna be part of the Battle of the Last Alliance? I'm guessing in this show. So it's like maybe he can, like, his father's gonna die in some tragic death, probably get killed by the Balrog or something. And then
Durin's Bane.
Yeah, Durin's Bane, and then the younger Durin, which we love, is going to be in the fight against Sauron, or banish the Balrog is going to be the dwarves fight, or whatever is going to happen. But I don't like. I would look at that ring and be like, "Oh, this ring kind of fucked my dad up." Totally. And he started like crazy taxing everybody, and just like. You can't bring wealth back to the economy with the sunlight and then immediately be like, oh, and then give me all your money too. It's like, you made a good point of like, oh, he's trying to do this for his people, but is he? Like,
well, no, he was, and then he's just being corrupted beyond.
Yeah.
And maybe he is 100% taxing, going, well, how do you think we're going to get the sunlight built back? So to go back to your early question, I think Disa was just trying to say, this is something that's honed. This is what he's getting is problematic. She's trying to say, like, that kind of understanding with the stone, there's something else at play here. But that's why I think when she gets the tuning stone and she's like, what is this? I'm going to still test if my skills work. She's like, it doesn't. I think she was just trying to prove to herself that she still had the ability to stone sing in that moment.
That moment was so insufferable to me. Of just one, I hate when someone drops something. Oh, you kicked it. Oh, I can't get to it. Like, that doesn't happen.
It was ridiculous, and I loved it. I love it. It was ridiculous.
Oh, so stupid.
It was dumb and ridiculous.
And then it just rolls into the dark crevices of the earth.
That no one's ever been to before. And
this is right by the main street market. And
Totally.
Like, I don't go to a farmer's market in Hollywood and I drop, whatever bagel I get at the bodega, and then like I end up in fucking Mordor. Like,
you've clearly never been the protagonist of a movie before.
Apparently not.
I told you you don't have a leading romance name, so
that's very true. But I did not like this part. I understand like the plot of it, where like she has to sense that some greater evil is there.
She woke it up, bro.
That leaf. What was that? Like, everybody in LA got woke up by the earthquake yesterday, and it's like, I feel like the Balrog went through that. Like, he just got, whoa, what's happening?
It's like, I could have gone back to sleep, but the alarm went off a second time, and what the fuck?
Noisy ass neighbors. He's called the HOA. Like, he's done all the proper things. So, you know what? Justice for Durin's Bane, okay? Revisionist history. But I really didn't like that part. Some are like speculating. Sorry, there's like a fly running around my room. Some are speculating that it might have been the Watcher in the water that like kind of came back at her because like the water was moving. Do you think it was that, or do you think it was the Balrog kind of shifting everything around?
Yeah, because I was confused about why the Watcher in the water would have been inside, but it would make sense in the sense because all those water streams are connected somehow, right?
Yeah, under the mountain, for sure.
Yeah. So I at first I thought it was the Watcher in the water, and I was confused because I was like, no, it shouldn't be. But now I'm like, now that you said that, and I'm reminded where they meet it in the movies and the books, they very well could be that. But then when Durin says something nameless and ancient, that's the Balrog that he's referring to.
Yeah, like.
So I do not think it's that. I think what she was receiving, what was resonance from
reverberating,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, so we got a nice email from a listener about the way he thinks the way Disa's stone singing is sort of like sonar echolocation. And so whatever she sang, the pond was resonating with her and sent back this image of the Balrog to her using the pool. Probably.
Gotcha. I do love how Disa is a crystal girly as well.
Oh my God. I am going to wear my hair like that forever with like some gold flecks in the part. She is so hot. And the way she like lifts up her, dress to like go.
Anytime I see Disa's legs, I'm like,
they look good.
They look good.
You cannot tell me a thick queen does not have it going on.
Oh, they gave her leg on purpose, for
you know what?
sure.
It's her confidence to go for it, too. Because you know what? We do not have a lot of positive representation about normal-sized women on screen. And it is really nice to see just a woman live it. And she's living it. And I love it. I fucking love it.
But I love this next scene of just like, Durin the Younger, like after he goes to Eregion, he's like, what do you know about this Anatar? Like, he's just like, Grant, you know what? I would say the same thing too, because I love all the Sauron manipulation stuff, but he is just kind of like wide-eyed staring in the corner a lot of the time. It's like, he is kind of giving some off vibes.
He's so creepy.
He's so creepy.
No, you're totally right. I think this is a natural segue after to go to Eregion. But I feel like Durin's a little too woke to Anatar, a little bit. Like, but I think he could definitely. I think for him to know that Anatar is the cause is weird.
I do agree with that, but I feel like Durin is what every dwarf should be in this. Of just like, you're kind of bullshitting me right now. Why are you doing that? Like, you can deceive a dwarf, but like by deceiving them, be like, oh, he speaks so highly of you. You're so wise and kind. He's like, everyone's never said that about me. Like, if you want to talk turkey, like he says, give me the meat, give it to me raw. Like, he doesn't do the flowers and the poetic speech and all this. Like, come on. Time is money, money is power, power is pizza.
Rings our power.
Rings our power.
Power is pizza.
So it's like, there's ways to do it, and I feel like they made Durin like the woke one, but when he should just be kind of like the baseline.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that, obviously we've got a story to tell. The Dwarven Kings do get fooled by Sauron by taking these rings.
Totally.
That's okay.
Totally.
I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with the way the story's being told, that they are aware of these rings and, they're not gifted. Like, they weren't all made for elves and stuff like that. They were made for the dwarves. Sure. I'm okay with the rings giving them, echolocation powers and being able to mine for sunlight. I'm okay with a lot of things. But to, like, speed run this corruption and then Durin being like, that guy.
Yeah.
You. Right there. You. I don't like you. It's a bit much.
You get a little, you do too many coincidences, you get too many enlightened. If you give us the dramatic irony and one of the characters knows it, it's better when Disa goes, something's off. I don't know what it is, but your father shouldn't have this power. That's off. And that works. So Durin the Third gets reinstated as officially prince and the heir.
I thought he's the fourth, right?
No. Durin the Second is the king.
Are we sure?
No.
Okay.
I am so wrong.
I just call him Durin the Elder and the Younger because.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. I'm totally, possibly very wrong, and more than likely very wrong. Durin the Youngest is reinstated as prince, and I think you're right. It is third and fourth. And I've been saying first and third for a long time. Who's on first?
I was just about to say that. Damn it!
Have you seen the Watts commercial? It makes me really upset. It's a sports commercial.
No,
it's a who's on third. Watts over there, and it's
with JJ Watt.
It makes me so upset. It was so upsetting.
Gotcha.
It's because it's not Abbott Costello doing it. Anyway,
well, they're dead.
I could do it. I'm very funny. I have great timing.
This is probably my favorite part of the dwarf storyline. This week was like Durin is like going to confront his father. Like, we're not getting the take off the ring moment yet, where they probably like have their full on falling out. But I love that, like, he's like, Dad, like, I don't like this Anatar. Like, we're doing too much right now. You're taxing too much. And he's like, yeah, but we're friends again, and you're Prince again. And he's like, okay. Like, it's so good. It's such a great father-son thing. It's such a great temptation of power thing, because we see, like, how much, even in this episode, Durin's still just like a minor. Like, he's still just like in the mines.
I was surprised. A minor.
Minor.
I was so surprised.
By the way, quick.
Okay.
Kendrick is the new halftime performer for the Super Bowl. I understand that, because, like, I'm not mad that Lil Wayne didn't get it.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Lil Wayne would have gotten it?
Because it's in New Orleans, so usually you try and do someone from the area. But they're not gonna have. I like Kendrick Lamar. I don't care about this beef. Everybody got paid. Everybody got the clicks. They're all doing okay. I don't need to defend Drake. I don't give a shit. But, like, they're not gonna have at the Super Bowl the most PG performance on the planet, where 50 million people are watching. They're not gonna have Kendrick Lamar go certified lover boy, certified pedophile. They're not gonna have that.
Are you sure?
So, I'm like 90% sure that or like, he's not gonna say it, and maybe the crowd will.
Yeah.
But, like, are they gonna allow that? Are they gonna censor it out? Are they gonna, like, give them, like, that 10-second delay and, replay it for the West Coast or something like that? I don't know. So it's like, I don't know. Like, he's got other songs for sure.
Sure.
But it's that's the song that got him this performance. Like, he did a sold out show in LA where he, like, reunited, like, there was like a peace treaty between, like, all the gangs in LA, and they all got up on stage with him and sang the song with him. It was a great moment. And he sang the song 5 times in a row, calling Drake a pedophile 5 times in a row. It was hilarious. I loved it. It was like a true moment.
Wow. It's like the Paris song between Kanye and Jay-Z. They did it like 12 times in Madison Square Garden or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That I do love that like every highlight of the basketball team was the Paris song, and it was great. It was just like, yeah, like, winning that gold medal, heck yes.
Let's go. That's amazing.
But I was just wondering about that, where, like, I like Kendrick Lamar. He's got great music.
Yep.
Like, and as a complete casual about hip-hop and everything, I'm fine with this, like, choice of the halftime show. But the song that got him this halftime show, I don't think he's going to be allowed to play it.
Wow.
If he does, heck yes. I want to see that on the biggest stage.
He might get Beyonce. He might get, like, his feats. You know what I mean? So,
for sure. There's going to be, like, I know, like, Rihanna did a full solo show, and it was really, really good. But last year with Usher and Ludacris and Lil Jon and Alicia Keys was awesome. So I'm really curious. I'm always curious about the halftime show, but I think it's a good choice.
It's very funny, though. A minor. It's so good. It's the best diss track.
I'm just hearing Durin now say, "They not like us."
So you're so right. This is the best part of this is the really great culmination of the dwarves in general. This episode, and Disa, who has been pushing for the reconciliation of the father, told Durin to tell his dad about the ring treaty and all that stuff, treating with the elves. And she saw that he was given the neck plate again. And even though she's concerned about the corruption with the ring, knows that she can't blame Durin for reconciling with his dad.
Yeah.
And she says, just please promise me don't wear that ring. And we're talking about relationship goals here, man.
It's good stuff,
relationship
dude.
goals.
It's real good stuff. To where I definitely have my criticisms about how fast Durin the Elder is, succumbing to the ring. And, they have the meeting with, like, the 7 representatives, like the 7 ambassadors of the other dwarf kings. And he even, like, has to slap someone's hand away and be like, these aren't for you, they're for your masters. But he wants half their treasure, like half their profits for the rings. Like, it's doing, like, a little too much with that. Like, you can show me he's being corrupted. Or, like, we know, we hear the whispers, like I said, we get it. but I don't need him to turn into a full dictator episode 1 of him having the ring.
This season should have been 10 episodes, and now we're moving on. I think that's exactly right, though. I think it should have been 10 episodes. So I do think this is the natural segue into what's happening over in Eregion, because we do see Narvi and Celebrimbor celebrating the creation of the Westgate doors. I think that was really sweet. I was curious how soon we would see the culmination of that, or if we would, and it's kind of nice to see that. And man, oh man, oh man, I literally hate Sauron now.
He's so good. Like, the pivots he has to do because of, like, what Durin put into Celebrimbor's mind.
Yep.
Like, the fact that Celebrimbor, like, put his foot down. By the way, if you're gonna, quote-unquote, close the shop, maybe don't close the shop by, like, just suspending the anvil in the fucking air.
So that's actually, I was curious about that, because I think they put the anvil into different spots. I don't know if you saw, there was, like, a whole graph of, planning, like he had like the layout of the forge, and there's different spots the anvil can go.
But when Homegirl turns invisible, she like cuts the rope and it almost crushes somebody.
Yes, because that's how they move the anvil, is my point. So they weren't currently using the anvil, and that's where they suspend it when they're not using it, and that's how they
Don't do that. Don't do that. No. You can just be like, hey, we're not using that, and leave it on the ground.
There's got to be a reason, though, is my point. And I don't know what the reason is, but there has to be a reason. So I don't know.
For dramatic effect to almost crush a poor elf smith?
Well, I'm just saying it has been raised and lowered several times throughout this season. So.
No. I understand, like, that's how you need to move it. But, like, when he writes the letter to Gil-galad saying, like, hey, the forge is closed, and they show him, like, raising the anvil, don't just leave it there, because it feels like they left it.
No, they didn't leave it. They just move it from place to place when they need it in a different spot, is what's
Jessica,
happening.
They raise it, and then the next time we see it is when it almost crushes somebody.
That's not true.
It is!
That's not true. We see it being moved again when they start the construction of the 7 rings.
This episode starts with the 7 rings being done.
Right.
And him writing the letter to Gil-galad.
That was the reminder that he wrote the letter last episode.
So the shop's already closed. The rings are already done.
The shop's not closed.
He just said the shop is closed. He sent
that letter last episode, and they were re-showing us that he sent that letter, because that's when he sent that letter, and then they started making the 7 rings.
No,
Yes, I'm actually right about this.
Sauron literally, like, says in this episode, you lied to Gil-galad because you said the shop was closed.
Yeah.
But, like, he said, I interpreted it as they did the 7 rings and now they're done, and that's when he wrote the letter.
No. So he said, we're done, and then they embarked on the 7 rings. So that's why the 7 rings are tainted.
Okay, I took it as, like, Gil-galad said, make no more rings. They made the 7 rings behind Gil-galad's back, and then he's like, okay, now I'm done. But no, don't worry. Like, by the time I saw your thing, the shop is closed. Like, we're not doing anything else.
Understood. So that's not what... I don't think that's what they meant, and that's not necessarily what happened in the sequence of things. Anatar, Celebrimbor... ended up
I hate that, by the way. Not Celebrimbor, like, specifically, but, like, I was on Janelle's stream watching the VMAs.
I hate you too? Jesus. Okay.
No. Nothing you just said.
Okay.
Celebrimbor's fine, but just, like, everything. I saw, like, a clip where it was Tyla, the singer, dancing to Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay.
And they said, oh, like, this is the only, like, thing of Tybrina together. Like, you don't need to combine fucking celebrities' names every time you talk about 2 celebrities. Right. And that's, like, the culture now, and I hate it so much. I didn't mean to come at you about that right there. But, like, that just reminded me where I was, like, just scrolling. I was like, you don't need to do that.
Wow.
You can just say Tyla's dancing to Sabrina Carpenter. It's not hard.
No. Which, by the way, the VMA settled our argument. I guess Espresso is the song of the year, and I'm very upset about it.
Did you? Okay, I do need you to go watch some clips because the entire audience, it felt like a Sabrina Carpenter concert. Like,
really?
Everybody was screaming the lyrics to Espresso.
It's not a good song.
You're just categorically wrong. You can have your opinion about the song and not like it. To say it's not a good song is wrong. Like when people call The Last Jedi a bad movie, it is rated highly by critics and it made $1 billion fucking dollars. The two categories that matter.
Are you calling me bros right now?
No, but I think I had this argument.
Is that a Snyder cut, dude?
You are a Snyder cut. Jessica's a Snyder cut truther. Zack Snyder needs to take over season 3 of Rings of Power. Make it happen.
Whoa. I'd be interested.
I want to see Galadriel in a metal bikini. I'll just be honest there.
Take one for the team.
I'll take one for the
team. say what I mean. Fuck, dude. Okay. All that aside, I actually do have a problem. You're totally right that like Anatar Sauron Halbrand is pivoting. He's dodging daggers, trying to make all this work. I'm getting accused. She put on the ring. She saw me as the fire being. I have to make it look like Celebrimbor. So the thing that bothers me, which ultimately kind of I can buy it, but that it's really, really bad logic, is Sauron says to Celebrimbor, "It's because you lied." Well, we need to make 9 more rings. That doesn't make sense to me. If I'm Celebrimbor and I was just told that my lie caused the corruption, and I believe this person.
Yes.
Caused the corruption of the 7 rings. I need to go make more now? To correct that corruption? Still under the same lie? That logic really escapes me. Now, if you're telling me somehow in the fold, in the conversation I missed, or Sauron told Celebrimbor, this is the harmony, it needs all of these, we're operating in prime numbers, motherfucker, then sure, maybe. But I just feel like they were missing, it was really poor logic, and it stretched my brain a little bit. So I'm asking the audience if they have the same feeling. So I want you guys to comment if you did. And I'm curious if you had the same vibe on it.
I don't know. I'm still kind of thrown about the timeline of the anvil here. The anvil's
Can we I really want to move on from it. I really,
because I really enjoyed, because I thought of just where my timeline was, that it was really good manipulation by Sauron of well, you told a little white lie saying the shop was technically closed, but they didn't know that you still made more rings when you weren't supposed to.
Right.
And so now you just got to finish the job and you got to get these right. And by giving these rings to the last race, because I don't think, people don't really know about halflings and stores and Harfoots and stuff like that, but the last big race on the earth will balance this out. I thought it was good manipulation. It is kind of silly of just oh, now we're gonna make 9. It's what? Why? Again, and it's almost the same thing with the dwarves, where why do we make 7? We've been introduced to one dwarf king, and I'm not saying we need to get introduced to every single person that gets a ring.
Right. I thought we were going to. I really did think we were going to.
I
meet
thought
everybody.
we'd at least have a meeting. The fact that the meeting in this episode is just the ambassadors and not even the dwarf kings. I was you can't even just I don't need to get to know every dwarf king that gets a ring. I'd like to see him on screen. Besides, the Cate Blanchett intro from the movies. And then I know, there's, Theo's gonna be the Witch King theories out there. Muriel's gonna be the Witch King theories out there. who's gonna, like, I don't want to go back to who's gonna be Sauron, and now we're gonna play who's gonna be the Witch King. I don't want to do that. But the fact that we've been introduced to Pharazôn, who could become a Nazgul, I don't know, or Muriel, and then that's it for men? Because, like, there's no one in the South, like, we just abandoned the Southlands completely, basically. So it's like, where are these 9 rings going? We don't even have, like, I haven't even been shown that there are 9 kingdoms of men. I haven't even been shown there's 9 dudes out there.
And all the dudes that we know, one just got fucking killed.
They're all dead. They're all fucking dead. So it's like, it's a tough balance. But, like, if you showed me in the Game of Thrones universe, I could name 9 guys that would get these rings. Like, you bounce around kingdoms. You bounce around territories. And I just need to know where these rings are going. Like, why? How you have... Anatar has got Celebrimbor in his fucking back pocket. I love that. And he's so sweet. He just wants to do what's best. He put his master's name, Feanor, on the door of Durin, and it's so sweet. Like, he's creating, he's cooking in this place, and he just doesn't realize what he's doing is wrong. And I love that storyline. He thinks he's making a name for himself, and he is, just in the worst way possible. But I still need to, like, yeah, why are we making 9 rings for men when we just messed up on the last one? Like... But it honestly...
That's what I'm saying. It's stretching the logic here. I get that he's manipulating him.
I can think of it in one way, that he's like Tony Stark when it comes to Ultron. Where it's like, oh, I messed up the first time. Like, have you seen Age of Ultron?
Yeah. I'm just trying to follow the thread.
You know, he wakes up Ultron, becomes evil. And then they recover Vision, and he's like, what if we try again? What if we try again? Like, we messed up. I learned my mistakes. What if we try again? And it's only because, you know, Thor came in and, like, hit him with that lightning. And he's like, oh, no, Vision's good. Or at least is, like, a neutral, chaotic neutral for now. And we'll just let him decide. And so it's like, that's the only reason I just thought of it. That's the only thing I can, like, kind of think of just, like, these guys, these inventors, these craftsmen are just like, okay, this obsessive compulsive disorder of like, I got this wrong, I gotta do it again, and I gotta do it again, and I gotta do it again, even though he might know in the back of his mind, in the small, tiny voice that you push down, Anatar is not a good dude. There's something off about him.
Well, because, like, let's remember, Galadriel said, do not trait with him, and all those things. And the other thing is like, Anatar has claimed to be from the Valar himself. So, like, holy shit, I can see why he's doubting himself and then wondering if he's just doubting his fucking parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is why I actually hate Sauron, Ben.
Okay.
Because I feel so sad for Celebrimbor. I feel so sad.
This is gold stuff, honestly.
He's making him act badly. He's like, you guys did not give me your...
Yeah, he's like the good cop. Like, the fact that Sauron is the good cop in the workshop, he's like your boss comes in, it's like, you guys suck, and then you got the cool manager that's like, guys, it's gonna be okay. We gotta tighten up a bit, but don't worry. You know, I'll be in the meeting. The shit flows downhill, and I'll catch all of it, so don't worry. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Because... this, like, as much as I don't like a lot of the truncated timeline stuff, you really don't like the villains of this show, and that is a good sign.
They're doing that totally right. And it's actually, I saw a great tweet that said, like, I can't, how Sauron is now is making me disgusted at how empathetic I was, or sympathetic I was for him in season 1. It's making me turn on myself. But I think when Celebrimbor is like, did you not give me your exact perfection, is totally in accordance with your perspective here, that they're just like obsessed with what they can accomplish here. Or that's what... And God, what dramatic irony for Celebrimbor to go, that's your game, isn't it? To manipulate me to see, so you make it think it's my idea. It was so sad. I was like, oh, you're right there, baby.
He's so close.
Ben, I chased a dude for 5 years. The moment I saw him, the breath was stolen out of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. And my heart, I went, this is it. This is the guy. And you know what I also knew in that moment? This is going to end horribly. I knew it from the beginning. I knew it the entire time. And I still know it to this day. It's very triggering watching this relationship. It really is. And a lot of the people that think it's sexy and it works for their Haladriel ship, go talk to a therapist.
Oh, this is like straight out of like book talk, like smut. Like it's like you actually would hate Christian Grey or like Edward from Twilight. Like you'd actually hate that. You'd hate it and you'd call the cops. But because he's rich and handsome, you like it. But like, especially when it's like it's borderline a bridge too far when he's like, oh, little hot tiny 5-foot elf girl that I tower over. You look just like Galadriel.
I would be
Has
so
anyone ever
mad.
told you that?
I would be so mad if someone did that to me. I remember like kind of liking a dude that I shouldn't like. And then I found out he wanted to.
I'm so glad you have a healthy relationship now. Because every time you brought someone up, you're like, I shouldn't like that guy.
Oh, Ben, it was so bad. I came to the point where I was sharing with somebody that was in a relationship. I just met somebody. It was great. I was talking about Alex. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. And then a year later, I'm like, yeah, it's going really well. He's like, is he nice? They couldn't believe I found a nice guy. So, no, I'm so grateful I finally found. I had to go through a lot of shit to get to here. This guy was not the right reasons for it. And anyway, when I found out he didn't just like me, he liked someone else and wanted a threesome, I wanted to puke. Because it wasn't about me anymore. So if I'm that bitch, the cutie little elf, and he starts talking about Galadriel, I'd be like, fuck you.
True, and that's kind of like, not a failing of the show, but it's just like, we have Galadriel on this pedestal, but like the world hasn't built it up like that.
The other elves may.
That's the
and
thing, is
she's
that the other elves
Sindarian.
might.
Yeah.
But like, the show's kind of done the opposite, kind of like just torn down Galadriel a lot of the show, like basically a season and a half of the show of like just tearing her down. But like it is a huge compliment to be like, oh, like this goddess, you remind me of her, because she is, even in the elf world, she is. And
actually, that's interesting. When the orcs are about to cut her hair, we know the significance of that.
Yes,
they did not do a good job of explaining what Feanor was trying to do with the Silmarils and her hair. But in that moment, it's interesting and an interesting mirror for him to go, in this light, you look like the lady. And then they're about to cut her hair off.
In this light, if I squint my eyes, then it gets a little darker. You look like Galadriel.
Let's see if your mouth works the same way.
Oh my God, Jessica!
It's fucked up, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we're leaving all of that in right there.
Of course we are.
Anything else about the elves in Eregion before we cross the sea? And
I
go
just
to
feel
Numenor?
so sad. I think
no, you're absolutely right.
For him.
I really enjoy this manipulation, like from a writing perspective, of just like, man, every single time you think Celebrimbor is like getting wise, Anatar turns it to like basically gaslight him. Like this is worse than Edward versus Bella. Of like, no, Bella, I didn't cross the parking lot. You're crazy.
It's
like,
actually really weird that you know this. I've only watched the first one under
all you need to do is watch the first one. Go watch the first one, like just the first half hour of the first one today, whoever's listening to this. And Edward's gaslighting is like S tier of just like, no, like you're crazy, Bella. I didn't stop the van. What are you talking about? Like, and the fact that she's like, I love you. Fuck out of here. So stupid. Twilight is objectively a great movie to watch with friends, though, because it's so terrible.
My friend would take all of her friends to go watch it because it came out. Every new one came out on her birthday every year. Like how you have your Lord of the Rings ritual. Hers was Twilight.
Fair, honestly, fair. It's so fun to watch.
I love you. It's so good. Anyway.
No, with the Paramours. I didn't realize that's how good that Paramore song is that when you don't realize it's from a movie, how did we get here? Like, that's a great song.
I don't know if I
listen to it.
I'm sure. I'm sure I know. I just can't place it.
Yeah.
I was all about. I was like an Iron and Wine bitch, and fuck.
Of course you were. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Jose Gonzalez. Postal Service and Death Cab, and
Postal Service is so great.
I know. I just love a good sad boy, though. All right. So speaking of sad boy, the daughter is such a fucking bitch. And
this is yeah. No, okay, so we're moving over to Numenor, guys, with no preemptive. And this is where the show is, like, doing what it's supposed to do.
I'm so mad!
Yeah. So Pharazôn is officially king. And this is, like, also, like, the speedrunning stuff where it's like, yeah, we saw the eagle, but, like, is that just, like... is the eagle the swing vote over here? What the fuck is going on?
So I was actually asking Alex about that, and I think it's the Tolkien professor, really, really smart guy who has been on some of the behind the scenes stuff about the show. He's really not trying to approach the show like this is bad because it's not lore, or this is good because it's lore. He's trying to interpret the show. Like, oh, what could they possibly mean? So his thought process was the Valar try not to get in the way, but they can send messages or tests. And so they sent
I thought you said text for a second.
Hey, Muriel, you up?
Yeah.
They send tests, and so they knew this was a pivotal moment for the Númenóreans, and they sent the eagle to see if they would pass the test. And what that did was, because Pharazôn took out the sword and made a display with the eagle behind him, it gave people the opportunity to question where their allegiance lies. And the professor said that ultimately they failed the test, but they chose Pharazôn in that moment. I still struggle with it, but I can see that interpretation.
Yeah, I understand that we've got to, like, move on. Like, we don't need to... If you're going to do that moment, there's no more point in, like, having more political intrigue when, like, you could have had it. There was, like, some decent scheming, and I like the actor that plays Pharazôn. And, like, the fact that Balzagar, whatever his name is, like, oh, does he have his ear, or is it vice versa? Like, you hinted at all this, like, scheming in Game of Thrones type of stuff, and then you didn't do any of it. You're just, like, shouted his name, and that's all it took.
Well, we'll see what more we're going to build to. I think we just need to see this. What this episode is here's what his Seas of Power looks like now that he has it. Actually, so to go back really quick to the elves thing, the back and forth with Sauron and Celebrimbor was actually feeling very good, like good dialogue too. Like I was like, this is cooking, man. So
great.
And even Pharazôn, like, just totally cucking his son and being like, "Are you gonna be this?" And like,
congrats on being king, Dad. Did I tell you that your mother told you were gonna die horribly?
Did I tell you that? Or am I gonna fucking? He's unreal. He gave him a cock chair, and he said,
and I was so afraid for a second. I was like, we are not turning the son into, like, an empathetic character. We better fucking not be. And they didn't. But in that moment, I did feel bad. I was like, way to go, Dad. We're king. And he's like, shut the fuck up, you disappointment.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It was unbelievable.
Good Lord.
And that's where my question is mostly for this. And it's a good question. It's not like, why, how? It's like, why is Aarion so hateful? Where did this come from? Like, is she so enamored with this stupid son whose name we don't even care about? I don't know what the fuck his name is.
I don't want to learn it.
I actually
punch him again. hit him hard. Break his other arm.
Every time there was, like, a moment of tension, I was like, get that face punched, get it punched,
and we got it. Oh my god, we got it.
It wasn't good enough, though, because it just wasn't. So anyway, Aarion is like, Team Karen, let's strip them of their rank, turn in your seaman outfits, and is being so mean to her dad. So insane. And they even, like, the way she's aged, and I mean this just as, like, your face matures, it loses some baby fat and stuff, and you kind of turn into your womanly stuff.
Yeah.
And this is what happens I can actually physically see it happen from 29 to 30. So she might be a little bit younger than that, but she like, you know, she's getting this stately woman thing. She looks like a fucking Karen bitch, and I'm so mad at her.
Oh my God.
I'm so mad at this. I'm so mad at what happened here.
And this is the thing about the truncated timeline is that if you want to show me, you know, Farazan's son showing her like Joe Rogan or Andrew Tate podcasts or something like that, like then show me that. You need to. They go on like one semi date where they're not even really talking about anything political. They're not like, yeah, elves are really taking our jobs or like anything. From what I can remember of season 1, it's a pretty harmless like first date where you're like, oh, okay, like I don't really like this guy, but seems fun. Seemed like they got some chemistry, whatever. But then, like, yeah, the next time she really, like, shows up in after, like, yeah, she's at the death of the king, but doesn't really do or say much. She just, like, is completely indoctrinated into this, like, elves are bad, build the wall, like, all this crazy, all this crazy stuff. And so it's, like, it's another big jump. Like, even, I like the dialogue with Farazan, but even him going from like, oh, we've got to be careful. Like even in the bar, you know, when his son is like drunkenly being like, oh, we'll overthrow the queen. Farazan's like, shut up. Like, stop talking. Like, we're going to do this quietly. And then he turns into like Scar from The Lion King while he's like talking. He's like, now that I'm drunk with power, I need more power. It's like, okay. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like we definitely hate them. It's a good hate watch. But, like, how did Elendil's daughter get here? Because I can't follow the path there.
Does she want power? Because as soon as she started flirting with this fucker, is it like, is it Donald Trump Jr.? Like, she gets to the apprenticeship, and now she gets to, you know, draw the king, and now she's the fucking color guard bitch. Like, I think she just likes the influence. She has gotten.
They need to do it better because there's I don't want to keep referencing Game of Thrones because these are separate shows doing separate things. But if you're going to do some political intrigue, there's a character in Game of Thrones that you haven't met yet, and her name is Marjorie. Oh, wait, you have met Marjorie.
Which one's Marjorie?
Baby Baratheon's wife that, like, you know.
Word.
Like, she's with there to be. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. That was like, oh, if you want to bring in my brother too, like we can, like, she's there for power.
Yeah.
She doesn't need like a loving marriage. Like she doesn't care if her husband's gay. Like she's there to be queen.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's her role. And if you want to put, what's her name? I don't like.
Aarion. I know.
Aarion. If you want to make her that role, then make her a schemer. She's cute enough to be a cutie schemer. Do it.
Cararian.
It's a valiant effort. But I just, her jump is insane. Like when, like we have the conversation. Okay, what did you get from this conversation with Elendil and Muriel? Of like, what is she asking him to do? Is she asking him to like, don't rebel? You gotta try and keep the peace here?
Yeah, she's trying to say, if you saw something different in the Palantir that has been showing me the same thing for years, that means we're changing the trajectory.
Showing everybody the same thing for years.
Well, that's what I'm curious. We never saw what Aarion saw. And why didn't that make her... Let show us what she saw, and then let us see that influenced her change here. Like the queen will bring us ruin, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if she saw the tidal wave too, like that would scare somebody for sure.
Totally, but we didn't see that. I actually thought that was going to shift her racism ultimately. So
we all hope that.
I just thought it was you can tweet into the void as much as you want, and it won't make a difference. The blue wave's coming, everybody. But just like the seaman, am I right?
Hey,
I think what basically Muriel is so wonderful ultimately, or we're being led to believe this, is because she wants the best for Numenor. She's trying to avoid the downfall of Numenor, and she believes that if Elendil saw something different, then that means they are effectively changing the course of the
Gotcha.
destruction.
Okay.
Now, I can understand why, when faced with what they were faced with in the shrine, they couldn't.
Yeah. I was just like, it was a lot of like double speak that I was like, okay, what did she ask? Sure. Like, she was like, you have to do this. Don't do this. Be sure to do this. What?
Yes, and you know what though is you're totally right. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. They were trying to do a Game of Thrones moment, and it was just like, just say it. Just say
it's
it.
Okay to say it. Yeah. It's okay to say it.
Totally.
But yeah, we get to, and that was the thing is that like this is kind of her coming in with the Palantir and like basically crowning Pharazôn in some way is one thing, and then the next time she shows up is like, you know, when the Sea Guard is turning in their swords and he's like, who ordered this? I did, under my authority. It's like, wait,
you were almost hanged for treason, Daddy.
Yeah, like complete out of nowhere where she's like, my brother died because of this, and it's just like, it was such a huge turn that it was very shocking. But I do love the end of that. You know, my captain was great. So good. Good stuff.
It's so good. It's so beautiful. She's very Kellyanne Conway, right? Like, she's like, I am now in power.
Yeah.
She really is. And then they do the beautiful, I don't know why they were doing this in secret. They should have just gone and done it on some late, like, dock somewhere. But, like,
I do like this because I don't think this is like one of those things where you're like, oh, well, this is sacred. They don't have a problem with like, because they're not like meeting in secret to overthrow Pharazôn. They're just honoring the dead.
Yeah.
That's literally all they're doing. And I do like this, like, of how frustrating, like, that oppression doesn't end where you want it to. Like, every time you think someone can go too far, they will go farther. And I did like that of how, like even I was like, oh my God, this fucking guy. I think I said that like out loud while I was watching it, and I was like, they're doing something right here. And that's the thing about this show, is that we're gonna see the good guys get their asses kicked a lot in this show. There are going to be very few victories in this show, and so I'm wondering how they're going to sustain it for 5 seasons of just like asses kicked. I
think they rushed the Valandiel thing a little bit. That being said, should end the episode on it. It was fucking shocking. Angering. Even in that moment when he had the sword up to piece of shit's neck and made him poop out his neck. His eyes, the shot with his eyes wide.
Good.
So good. And now Elendil was the one who allowed the death to happen by saying, stay your sword, or whatever.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
No, he lost his daughter. He thinks he lost his son, and now he's lost his surrogate son. Like, this man is literally on an island. He's literally on an island.
He's going down on the island.
Yes. But just like, it was rushed in the fact that, like, now it is the fact that I just don't care about anyone on Numenor besides
Elendil and Muriel.
And even Muriel, I'm just like, kind of like, she's not a good queen. Like, she's not good at her job. So
I mean, she cares about the people of Numenor, though.
She does,
and that's why she's allowing
the scene with the grieving mother was good, but it's just like, I need her to be better a little bit. But I think it's just because we didn't spend enough time with her, and the time we got was like her kind of just arguing with Galadriel.
Yeah, totally.
But it is down to just like 2 couples in these kingdoms, and the third couple being Celebrimbor and Sauron.
Exactly. And we know how that ends.
Right?
It's so sad. It's so sad. It
is. But yeah, I wish he would have, even like for the actor's sake, because like I remove myself and I'm just like, oh man, I want to see him in more. Because he did have like the 2 best scenes of Numenor, of just like going up to him at the bar and like being like, say it again. Say it again. Like just almost gleefully being like, we can go outside right now.
They killed our sweet baby Antimo last season. They killed Valandil this season. The way Valandil was cooking, to use your phrase, this season, They should have made him Isildur, honestly. He was so good.
He's really good.
He's so good. I think the actor who plays Isildur is really going to rise to the challenge where he's supposed to be a little petulant right now. He's supposed to be a little naive. And it really breaks my heart because Isildur names his heir Valandil.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so it's a beautiful homage, but it just is sad that Isildur doesn't know. Valandil dies thinking Isildur is dead. Isildur isn't around to see Valandil one more time. You know,
it's very sad stuff. I wish
it's a shocking death. It's a shocking death.
I honestly think they did this because I think we're on this is episode 5. I think the last 3 episodes are going to be like pure
Battle of Eregion.
Yeah.
We're going to see maybe something happen at Rune. We're probably going to see.
Yeah, we got to finish that for sure.
I think listen, if they extend the Dark Wizard through next season, I have real question marks. I really do. Because I'm like, no one gives a flying fuck about this dude. But we'll see what happens there. So I think we have Eregion to cover. We have to see the coming to head with the Durins and what happens there. We are definitely not going to get the fall of Numenor, but right now we're seeing how that is all going down. And it's just, I don't know how much more Numenor we're going to get. But
that's the thing is that like this, and it's kind of the same where it's just like this, both falls of these kingdoms, like Eregion makes sense of like the army marching towards it. Like that is a literal, like, it's just going to get raised. That's fine. But just like with the falling from inside, it's happening like a little too fast where it's like, so are the Numenorians going to wash up on Middle Earth by the beginning of next season? Like, how much longer does Numenor have?
Yeah.
Because if they're already, destroying shrines and, killing or imprisoning anybody that disagrees with Pharazôn, that is how it starts for sure. We've seen it happen with plenty of dictators. Where does this show go? Like how is next season like Elendil going to be like a shadow operative? Like is there going to be like an underground rebellion? I wouldn't mind seeing that. But now you've killed Valandil, who would have been his second in command. And we've got the Sea Guard, the "Oh Captain, My Captain" guys, but they're all just like nameless extras right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I wish he would have. It's a great moment. I understand why it happened, and I'm glad Valandil got the punches, and the arm break was so good. And that's honestly like a problem I have is like, one, this soft ass guy would not even put up a fight against Valandil. Like, I hate doing like the power scaling thing.
No, but when he had his head under the water, I was like, come on, they can't kill him this way. There's no way he's that long under the water. Unless he's got really great leverage, which he could have had, but he can't fight him. No. He's not a contest.
And then, like, if you get your arm broken, like, I'd like to think that I'm pretty tough, but I've never really been in a fight like that. If I get my arm broken, I don't know if I'm going to have the strength to get up and stab someone in the back. But maybe when your adrenaline's spiking, who knows?
You're Numenorian also. I think we just have to take that into consideration. He looks like a little pansy bitch, but he's Numenorian.
That's the problem. Make him look at Jaime Lannister. You can have someone with a punchable face and still look like a goddess.
Yeah, but that's a face you want to punch and then ride. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's Numenor, baby.
then we might understand what Aarian's getting out of the whole vibe.
Exactly. So, I don't know. There's stuff I really liked about this episode. Oh, and we end the episode. Unfortunately, I don't know why we didn't end the episode with the death. It would have been so good. Like, honestly, go to credits, and then after 30 seconds of credits, then you have the army marching up.
Sure. And then the Galadriel reveal moment or whatever. Yeah. Like
then Adar being like, I didn't bring you as an enemy. I brought you as an ally because we have the same enemy, which makes sense, but I don't want to see Galadriel fight with orcs.
I don't think she will. I think she may ruse with this for a moment, but I think Adar, God, it just is. Listen, the actor who has inherited the role is doing a really wonderful job.
Great job.
Really, truly. I do not say this to disparage him. I do just miss Joseph Melway, though. I really do. Because I would fucking kill to see how he would do these scenes. But that being said, we are getting a great performance regardless. We'll see how it plays out next week. I did not watch the highlight on next week.
Me neither.
I think Forbes needs to shut down. You can't say it's a slog. It's not a slog. It's almost cooking too fast. That you can't call one of the most pivotal emotional scenes to happen so far in the entire series. Losing. They didn't even give us a moment of death for Antimo. We just discovered him dead.
Yep.
And this fucking moment where Elendil's watching an actual surrogate son die in front of his face, I can't. It's just too much. It was a beautiful, heart-wrenching scene. This is not a slog. We want to hear from y'all. Let us know how you're feeling. We love your comments. And genuinely, they are so much more positively, overwhelmingly. Thank you for thanking us for how we're doing it. We're just talking about this the way we want to. And so if the fact that it resonates with y'all is really great. I do apologize for all the bitching and the yelling I did today and the weird curse words and sexual innuendos. I'm never going to stop. I'm just apologizing for like the deluge of this episode. The
amount of semen Jessica like spewed out was just crazy.
Yeah. So I can't argue with you. So I'm not apologizing for it being this way, just that it was a lot today. But
it says something that the show is doing right.
It's making me feel things.
When you have a good villain that you just like hate to your core, it's good. Because like there have been plenty of villains that you're just like, whatever. Or, like they'll do like the MCU thing where it's like, oh, the villain's kind of right. Oh no, they firebombed a hospital, they're bad. But you don't care. Like you're just like they don't. It's just because you kick the dog doesn't mean I'm gonna hate this person now. But they're doing a good job with the villains of like making me hate them. Some of the pacing seems to be a little bit off, whether it is too rushed or it is too slow. They gotta find that speed. They gotta hit cruise control on some of these things and like find that speed.
Let us live there. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but push it, gun it, break it, surprise us, and most of that is there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta go, oh, maybe it's a speed trap, maybe it's not. Oh, let me blow past see if I can ditch the cops and then have a nice day. Anyway, there's so many different ways you can interact with us. Best way, I think, is go to the link to our Discord. It's free. You can make fun of me there all you want. You can share your spoilers, try to block them out, but we have a good time there. You can also join our Patreon from as little as $2 to $100. There's only one person that can get that $100 tier, and you will be the owner of a shirt that says, I paid $100 for this dumb shirt, basically.
Boom.
But you have the one ring. So, but you can also sign up for
You'll just be like Durin, like we're just taxing you for the ring.
100%. If you do sign up at the $5 tier, however, you get access to our Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon podcast. When we can do early episodes, you get access to that and any other Patreon exclusive things we do there. That is also the easiest way you can show your appreciation. Another way they could show their appreciation is if they're watching us on YouTube right now. Ben, what should they be doing?
Leave a comment. Like Jessica said, I really enjoyed reading all the comments. I jump in there every once in a while, but I let Jess do a lot of that because she's got the official Podcast of the Rings thing. But I jump in there to respond to stuff too. It's mostly positive, and the negative ones, like some are constructive. Like someone corrected me last week that it was Tom Bombadil that said it in the book of drink earth and eat water and all that good stuff. Like, cool. I'm okay with that. That's great. But yeah. I really enjoy reading the comments, guys. And if you're listening to us on any podcast platform, give us 5 stars, also free and super easy to do. And if you feel like leaving a review there or a comment there, do it as well, because those really help drive the algorithm. Everything drives the algorithm now, but we're not calling this show woke or saying it's DEI, so we don't drive the algorithm, so it's kind of up to you guys.
It really is. If this is something that you value, that comment helps. That clicking share helps. Going to Twitter and talking about how we're cool or following us there also helps. And you guys have been helping us, so thank you. So just don't stop. And until next time, Ben.
May our paths meet again next week.